Hello and welcome to the show. Listen, we've got a great show planned for you. This is the beginning of season 6, and I am excited because we have some great guests, especially today. So, as I was thinking about what this season meant to me, it means being grateful. So many times we don't take time to say we're grateful or we're thankful for family, for friends, for jobs, for opportunities. And this is the time for us to say that. And so I'm going to dedicate this is my season of being grateful. So what are you grateful about today? So anyway, as I said, we've got a great show planned for you. I will be talking with a dear friend and an author, Dr. Nisha Jenkins-Tate. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about her, what she's doing, all the exciting things, and about her new book that I tell you what, you're going to love it. You have the new superpowers. That's what it's called. And so I look forward to us having that conversation. So I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy because it's coming up next.
The Cecil Williams South Carolina Civil Rights Museum is the Palmetto State's first and only museum. It honors a generation of people, black and white, throughout the state of South Carolina who deserve to be remembered for their unselfish commitments and sacrifices. Enjoy an immersive and entertaining virtual tour. For more information, visit www.cecilwilliams.com.
Hello, everybody. It's Finkley of The Michael Finkley Show, and you're watching Gold right now. Why? You're watching The Tammy Show. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the show. I told you we have a great show planned for you. I'm excited because this is a dear friend that I haven't seen for a long time. I'm not going to say many, many years, but for a while, and we've still kept in contact with each other. And so it gives me great pleasure to tell you about our special guest. She's an author, a philosopher, a collective trauma and personal growth consultant. She's a mom, an auntie, a boomer. She's particularly committed to work that heals the impact of collective trauma on millennials and Generation Z, who are poised to create an awesome future that helps us to heal our fractured planet. Now, she completed her undergraduate studies in journalism at Howard University, Bison's, everybody, the Kathy Hughes School of Communications, a Master of Science from Johns Hopkins University, Carey Business School, and a Doctor of Philosophy from Howard University Graduate School of Arts and Sciences with a major concentration in culture studies and minor concentration in social psychology. Well, all I can tell you is what? She is a Charlestonian. She is my dear friend. And ladies and gentlemen, introducing Miss Dr. Nisha Jenkins-Tate. Come on out, Dr. Nisha.
Hi, Tammy. Hi, everyone.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Listen, you look fabulous. Almost wear more pink myself today. And you look fabulous. I mean, looks like when we were in school. I'm not going to say how many years ago.
That's about 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's it.
Nowadays.
You look fabulous. So thank you so much for being on this show. Nisha, I know you. And as I told you earlier, it's just us sitting here having this conversation like if we were at our kitchen eating crabs. How about that? Okay. And so I want, if someone came to you and they said, hey, Nisha, who are you? What would you say?
I would say, well, here in Charleston, I graduated from Burke High School. So I'm a local homegrown girl. And what I'm doing now, though, in terms of my calling and my profession is as a writer and as a collective trauma healer with a particular focus on millennials and Gen Zs, as you mentioned. So millennials are, of course, people who were born somewhere between 1981 and 1996. Mm-hmm. And then Gen Zs are from 1997 to 2012. So it's that age range from 12 to 42. So I
Mhm.
have a particular affection for them because I feel they've experienced a lot of collective trauma over the past couple of decades. And I didn't see a whole lot out there that is encouraging to them or that understands it. And so that's why I have a particular interest in that group.
And so when we talk about collective trauma,
Mhm.
give us a definition of what collective trauma really is.
So, if we think of trauma from an individual perspective, it's anything that happens in your life that kind of changes your perspective, changes your worldview, changes how you navigate through your life. So, collective trauma is when there is something on a grand scale that impacts a community, a generation, a country, a group of people, but it is so traumatic that it shapes our worldview and it shapes our perspective of the future. And
Mhm.
so in the book, what I did was I spoke with a lot of millennials, Gen Zs, and this came out of a conversation actually with my millennial son,
Mhm.
Khalil. I have three sons, Khalil, Zuri, and Malik. Khalil and I used to have what we called Super Soul Saturdays to take off on Oprah's thing during the COVID pandemic. And one day he said, Mom, remember that book you started writing when you graduated with your doctorate? Whatever happened to that? And I was like, kind of lost interest in it. He said, Mom, you have to write that book because we need it. And I was like, what do you mean we need it? And he said, our generation needs it, Mom. It's just so much stress. It's just so much anxiety. And, seems like we get a bad rap. And I just feel that's the kind of book we need now.
Yeah.
So I, started back on that journey of writing that book, which was kind of the whole basis of my dissertation back in the day. And so that's how, this book evolved into that. So
Right.
collective trauma, what the book does is identify like 16 events that
Mhm.
talking with the various millennials, things that they said impacted their worldview. So there were things like the shootings in the classroom, 6-year-olds being shot up in the classroom, okay, for however age they were. There was like, of course, 9/11 for the millennials. There was like the George Floyd situation where one human being is leaning on another human being's neck for 9 minutes until he
Mm.
dies. You can't be human and experience that and not be changed. And then artificial intelligence, AI, and how that's impacting the job market and that type of thing. So just in talking with them, these were some of the things that they identified that make them doubtful about the world being a safe space. And so this
Right.
book just kind of rolls it all back to say, who are you? Who did God put you here to be? And focus on that. So even though the book is dedicated to millennials and Gen Zs, anyone can benefit from it.
Oh,
I think parents would benefit from it as well. The thing is,
yeah.
I think they get a bad rap. We judge them pretty harshly without the context of, okay, this is the world that we left for them to be raised in. And so these are the things that are influencing them. But I
Yeah.
also believe they are a hope for the future.
Yeah. And I enjoyed reading the book, and thank you so much. You made sure I got this book and had enough time to read it. And what I loved about it was the worksheets that you're able to read the chapters, but as you're reading, you're able to go back and you can put them together by going through the worksheets. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I was like, okay, go ahead, Niche. You did that. And it gave me such a perspective, even about myself, because of, you say, collective trauma. Well, that's all of us now. We still in the Gen Z millennial age, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It gave me the opportunity to look at myself, to tend to my body and my mind and my heart, my soul, all of the things that you talk about, and how you built that framework. And so I was interested in, and I'm interested in asking you, what do you think is your favorite part while you were writing? What was your favorite part about writing this?
So my favorite part about writing the book was what I felt was fulfilling my purpose and my calling. So it's a calling that I had 20 years ago when I did my doctorate, and then I kind of freaked out about it, like, oh, this is getting too deep. And when you're in an academic setting, the writing just wasn't anything I thought anyone could relate to. So writing the book, though, because my son kind of charged me with it, and then after I talked with more millennials and Gen Zs, just casually, I'm like, okay, this is really a thing. There is really a need to have a voice out there. So I think the greatest part for me, the challenge and also the opportunity, was to put it into a framework that anybody could relate to, and also to try and use a voice that was the same voice I would use with my sons. And because my son kind of warned me, he says, Mom, don't be too judgmental. Don't be too long-winded. Don't do, the whole list of things. And I'm like, okay, I got to be myself to some degree, but I hear you. So he was like, don't lecture, just try and get the information out there. So that was an opportunity to lean into that, to listen to them, and without lecturing, also to just share opportunities and life experiences that I've had on the planet. And I feel that that is part of fulfilling my purpose.
Oh, wow. And it really is fulfilling. As I said, I love the way you have the framework and the way you broke it down. And as I thought about body, mind, my body, my mind, my heart, and my soul, that chapter right there, that just did it for me. What's your favorite chapter?
So, favorite chapter. Yeah, so there's a chapter in there that says, do your God thing. And basically what the chapter outlines is that, we have natural talents we're born with. We have callings, and our callings can vary throughout life, right? But ultimately, we were put on earth for a purpose. And then also, if you never know your purpose, if you don't yet have the courage to pursue your calling, if you haven't evolved your talents, you can still just be a decent human being. And so doing your God thing kind of embraces all of that, being your highest self, being your best self. And so I really like that chapter. But leading up to that chapter, of course, are the things that you mentioned, the framework, right? So as the book goes, the first thing it does is say, we're all this, body, mind, heart, and soul, but we tend to lean into one quadrant more than the other, right? So we might be more comfortable as a body person, a mind person, a heart person, a soul person. And if you are, then start with that quadrant. Be the strongest you can in that quadrant. So strengthen your strengths. And then to become that whole person that you were born as, that you're trying to get back to, probably, then evolve in all the other quadrants. So it kind of leads up to that. So in the longer title of the book, which is Dear Millennials and Gen Zs, Never Let the Clutterettes Nibble on Your Cheese, You Have the New Superpowers. It's a very long title. But the clutter rats that it speaks to are our self-sabotaging habits. What are the things that you repeatedly do in life that kind of keep you from achieving your goals, serving your purpose, kind of undermining yourself? So that's also an important chapter in there, because it asks that we go through and do an inventory, which is sometimes hard. Like, okay, what things do we need to work on? And then it's not to be self-critical, but it is to say, own this, then elevate it.
Yes, that's right.
So
that's right.
The example I like to give of that is kind of like, if you know that you are stubborn, which can be a negative trait, elevate that and make it determined. So you're determined to meet your goals. You're determined to pursue your purpose. My clutter rat, big one for me. I mean, because I ask people to identify 5 to 10 of them, but one of mine is procrastination. I kind of, wait till the last minute, whatever. I think about it. I tend to be a mind person, so I stick with them in my head a lot, processing. But one day my son had me screaming because he was trying to get me to exercise. He says, Mom, you're procrastinating. Look at you. You got to dust the nightstand. You got to straighten the rug. You're looking at the fan like you want to go up there and dust it. He says, Mom, you're procrastinating. Just do it. And it made me laugh so that now every time I procrastinate, I think about that. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So for me,
yeah.
it was like optimism, humor, and just self-assurance kind of helped me to deal with that procrastinating aspect. And so that's kind of how the book guides the reader. Like, what are your clutter rats? Okay, now how are you going to handle them?
That's right.
And yeah.
Wow, wow. Well, Dr. Nisha, we're going to take a break and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the superpowers. I want to get it because people are going to say, well, what's she talking about superpowers? Y'all haven't talked about superpowers yet. So I want to know what the superpowers are. So we're going to come back from a commercial break and we're going to do that. Okay. All right. Okay. Folks, we'll be right back.
The Orangeburg County Conference Center supports downtown Orangeburg and our surrounding communities. The 6,000 plus square foot space is ideal for groups of up to 400 people attending corporate meetings, conventions, workshops, and special events. Conference Center staff are inspired to ensure that everyone can enjoy the modern amenities. State-of-the-art ballroom that accommodates up to 400 guests banquet style and 430 guests theater style. A warming kitchen with hot boxes, ice machine, refrigerator, freezer, and counter space. A lobby that accommodates 150 guests with special events outdoors. The comfortable outdoor amphitheater has a video wall and seating. Adjacent to the amphitheater is 12,000 plus square feet of green space that extends events outside, plus complimentary on-site event parking and additional parking across the street. Your event can take place all in one spectacular location. We welcome your special event in Orangeburg.
Stay tuned. You are now watching The Tammy Show. This is Roger Gas. Welcome.
Welcome back to the show. We've been talking with Dr. Nisha Jenkins-Tate, author of You Have the New Superpowers. So Nisha, thank you for joining us again and coming back to the show. When I think about superpowers, we always think about cartoons and Superman and Wonder Woman and all these things. And people can call us those things from one time to another. What are the superpowers that you're identifying in your book? What is it that you want everyone to identify within the book as far as superpowers are concerned?
Okay. So to set it up in the book, the first thing that the book asks readers to do is to identify your quadrant. Your strongest quadrant. And so it does that with some value statements. So let me just give you an example of the value statements, and then we'll talk about how the superpowers are assigned to each quadrant. Okay. All right. So if you are a body person, a quote unquote body person, we're going to go through body, mind, heart, and soul, then it is important for you to be able to take action and to be intentional about achieving your desired outcomes. It is important for you to take good care of your personal appearance, and your burning questions tend to center on what, when, and how much. So that's kind of body. People tend to be centered in action and actuals and what's here and now. If you are a mind person, then these value statements you might relate to. It is important for me to be able to constantly learn new things and exchange new ideas. It is important for me to be able to dig deeper and solve problems. And my burning questions may center on why. You're always asking why. And you're always trying to figure out how to make things better. If you are a hard person, Then your value statements would be, it is important for me to be able to share my feelings and express my emotions, especially when I'm with people that I care about. And it is important for me to feel emotional connection when I'm interacting with people. And their burning questions tend to center on who and where. And then finally, if you're a soul person, then it is important for me to have a clear conscience. It is important for me to trust my intuition, my gut. It is important for me to express my creativity. And my burning questions center on how, because I'm always trying to put the context of things, like how did that happen? I'm looking for patterns. And so from there, what we look at are the superpowers for each quadrant. And to the extent that you identify with one quadrant more than the other, then you can look at what are your superpowers. But those superpowers are accessible when you're operating at your highest level, at your highest self. So it's kind of difficult to call on your superpowers if you're operating at a low energy level, low vibration level. And so the goal of the book is always to keep elevating and recognize, there are good days and bad days, and life can give you some curveballs, but how do you bounce back from that? So resilience is important. So from the body perspective, for a body person, your superpowers are your presence, your agency, and your light. So people who are body people, they own a room. They can come in even without speaking. Their presence is felt. You have a lot of presence. You have ownership of your body. And for the mind person, it is your brilliance, it is your peace, and it is your visualization. You can get a concept and see how it can be mapped out even before other people do. Your mind's always chewing on things. And then for heart people, it is your warmth, it is your joy, and it is your love. People can just feel that from you. People gravitate toward you. So that's your superpower. And then for the soul person, it's your resilience, bouncing back. It's probably a strong belief in God and in faith, and your vision. You can see things that other people cannot, but you receive that vision and you can make it happen. And then your creativity. So soul people are kind of closer to their calling. They can feel it. They have a close connection. So those are kind of the, superpowers outlined in the book. They're very high level because there's room there now for what is your calling. So, for example, we could have the same superpowers, but different callings. You're a hard person, warmth, joy, love. Maybe your calling places you in the classroom. Maybe your calling places you in public relations. Maybe your calling places you in hospitality. So we've always got a different calling, but the superpowers are the same. And then even though I mentioned all this, the 4 quadrants, of course, as an individual, as a human being, we have all these quadrants. It's just that we don't tend to be strong in all of them.
Right.
So start with the one that you're most comfortable in. It helps to elevate everything else. And so that is the purpose of the book is to elevate. And then your purpose in life kind of spawns out of that as well.
Right. And when you talk about, as you're talking about elevating, you have the chapter where you talk about the elevators connecting to the mind and soul, the mind and the heart. I love that because it gave me the opportunity to say, okay, if I'm connecting my mind and my soul together, then how does that look for my body and my heart? It really, as I said, for me, and being a Gen Z, it really helped me determine some of the questions that I've been asking. And when it comes to young people, because, I have my producer, my assistant producer in here, Willie, you a Gen Z or a millennial? And he's shaking his head. And so the beauty of it is that you have a call to action. At the very end, there's a call to action talking about your pledge and mission and your mission statement. How do you want young people, and I'm going to say young millennials and Gen Zs, to really develop their pledges and their mission statements? What is the message?
So once you have gone through the book, and I think it's a book that can be a reference, actually for a lifetime, because
Mhm.
it's a textbook and a workbook, but it is just to be mindful of that you have a purpose. You are here for a reason. And then making that commitment then says, I understand who I am. Understand why God placed me here, and this is my focus. Now, your calling, as I said, can vary in life. So, like we talked about the superpowers and how your superpower might manifest this way, somebody else may manifest the other way. So, your calling can shift too. Like maybe you started out wanting to be a teacher. Now you are a writer. Now you are this. I mean, we're always evolving in life, but the purpose is very fundamental. The calling may vary, and we're always leveraging those talents. So when they go through the exercise of saying, this is your mission statement, this is your purpose, your commitment to that, they've already previously looked at, okay, well, what were some of the things that I just did naturally as a child? That your parents said, or your grandparents, or your friends, because that's going to help you to know what talents you just naturally leverage. I believe that God gave us some natural talents that we don't have to go to school to learn. We can refine it there, we hone it there, but it's just natural. It's just in us, and it's tied to what our purpose is. And so I think going through that exercise worksheet, I think I provided about maybe 110 of them, and
Mhm.
saying, oh, as a child, everybody says I was naturally this, I was naturally that, I was naturally that. And then honing those skills, that is going to help you to serve your mission, which is your purpose. And it's also going to help us to evolve as a human being. And so that's kind of the thought, leverage the gifts that God gave you, answer your calling, which takes courage, because we kind of talk ourselves out of things, or
Yeah.
we want the grand scale of things, when it's like, maybe it doesn't have to be that grand. You may touch somebody that's on a grander scale. Just answer your calling, and then serving your purpose, which gives us a reason in life, to keep pressing on when the hard things hit us.
Yeah. Wow, Dr. Nisha, I will have to have you come back. You're gonna have to give us a part two. To you have the new superpowers. What's next for you, Dr. Nisha? What's next, Nisha?
So yeah, right now I'm organizing some workshops. So what I want to do now is to take it into the schools, like high schools, college settings. It's of course to get them to read the book, but more importantly is to create a forum where people can talk about some of the collective trauma, where they can look at, okay, this is my strongest quadrant. What are my superpowers? What is my purpose? And then just grow and evolve out of that. So that's my immediate need is to do outreach to the young people who are targeted by this book. And I ask of course, the cooperation of parents in doing the same thing. I had so many parents that bought the books for the young people, and then they were like, I don't know, I kind of want this for myself. I'm like, let's buy another copy.
That's right. That's right. That's
I'm
right.
like, that's a typical boomer. It's like, okay, this
Yeah,
one's not about
that's
you,
right.
this is about them. Yeah. So it's that's my goal. Promote the book, get the book in the hands of the people that it's written and dedicated to, and just provide a tool for them to help make this a better world than we have left with them.
Wow. So, Willie, I want to show the book. I want people to see the book cover. There it is.
Thank
And
you.
it's a beautiful book. And I'm urging anyone and everyone to really buy this book, not only for your millennials and Gen Zs, but you'll get something out of it as well. Thank you, Willie, for showing that. Marnishia, listen, I am so grateful that you were able to join the show today. You have blessed me more than you know. And I just want to thank you so much for
Thank
writing
you
this
for
book.
having me. Yeah,
Oh,
thank you for having me, Tammy. I really appreciate this, and it's good seeing you. We'll
it's
see
good.
each other.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
We're going to see
Yeah.
each other. We have to do lunch, as they say, or brunch, as they say, when I come to
Right.
town. Yes,
And
ma'am.
thank you, Willie, too. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Well, listen, last thing I always ask my guests are what are three words that describe you?
3 words that describe me. Evolving child. This is 4, but of God. Evolving child of God. I am just constantly trying to grow, be better than I was yesterday.
Mhm.
I think that, so much of what we do is based on these external hierarchies, like higher in social, higher in class, caste, race, when we really should focus on what's higher within yourself. And
That's it.
so that is my mission, is to convey that message and also to live it.
Yeah. Wow. That's what we all need to do. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. And on that note, I want to thank you so much, Marnishia. Dr. Nisha Jenkins-Tate.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Tammy.
joining the show.
Thank
I
you.
love you much.
Love you too.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Listen, you heard it right here, Dr. Nisha Jenkins-Tate. Okay, you've got to go get this book. Okay, I've got the book here with me. Now, this is backwards, but it is You Have the New Superpowers. Dear millennials and Gen Zs, never let the clutter rats nibble on your cheese. You have the new superpowers. All right. And so I want you to pick up the book, pick it up. And Willie, let's show all of her handles so that folks will be able to go to the website. You have the new superpowers2.com. And I think she has a social media page as well. And so, but we know that you can go to the website and purchase the book, right? Okay. So the website, it is Dr. Nisha. Everybody go to the website, www.youhavethenewsuperpowers2.com. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Nisha Jenkins-Tate. Love you. And you've got to go out and get the book. Well, I tell you what, as she's beginning season number 6. We're beginning on a high note. What's your purpose? Okay, I'm going to ask you that. What's your purpose? So I want to thank you for tuning in to the show. We're going to have a great guest next week. I want you to join us next week again at 7 p.m. And I want to thank my producers, Alicia, and my assistant producer, Mr. Willie. And we want to thank him for being on the show, being with us. Please subscribe to the Tammy TV show. That's the Tammy TV show YouTube channel. Remember, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button, that red button, and join us every Thursday at 7. Let us remember to be a blessing to somebody today and every day. Remember, you've got to pick up the phone and you've got to call somebody and say, how are you doing today? Whether you love them or not, I'm telling you, do that now. Life is too short. Remember, we've got a lot to be grateful for. So until the next time, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.